If you're a student here or an alum, you might recognize this place. McKeldin Mall's towering oak trees, lush flower beds, and rich architectural details are all part of what makes College Park one of the nation's most beautiful campuses. So how does it stay this pristine? Well, that just happens to be the topic of today's first story. The credit goes to a small but dedicated group of workers, a dedication symbolized by a man named Duke and the tree in his namesake he's tended to for more than 30 years.
Each morning, a majestic white oak stands ready to greet students, staff, and visitors to the University of Maryland. This campus landmark receives extra care from university groundskeepers, honoring a former coworker whose connection to the tree goes back nearly half a century. As the white oak and its longtime caretaker enter their twilight years, their lives remain forever bound together, both in spirit and in name.
I came here at the University of Maryland in 1966 as a groundskeeper, cutting grass, planting flowers, cutting bushes, laying sod, trimming trees, trimming bushes, cutting hedges. I remember seeing the tree. I can't remember the day I seen it, but the day I seen it, I fell in love with it. I remember one morning I came to see the tree just before the sun was coming up. I liked the bright red, behind the tree. I was sitting there looking at it. I just fell in love with that one white oak tree.
My first impression when I met Duke was that he was a serious individual and that he loved his job. I learned quite a bit from him, and working alongside him and listening to some of his stories about the campus and the professionalism that he displayed was just so great. That big white oak across from the chapel was one of the things that Duke talked about quite a bit. But as time went on, the crew started calling that Duke's tree. So whenever we wanted to have a location, we'd use Duke's tree as a landmark.
This tree is very special in the university community. It occupies a very unique location. It's isolated near the Memorial Chapel, and it actually is a gathering point for many members of our community. I've been told by many returning alums that they got engaged under this tree, or they've had picnics under this tree, and it really has a continuity from generation to generation that we hear about frequently. The white oak is the state tree of Maryland, and it is native to these areas. It grows naturally in our forested areas on campus, as well as makes a nice specimen on campus proper. This white oak is related to the willow oaks on McKeldin Mall in that they're both in the genus Quercus, so they share the same family relationship. We currently have in our inventory 8,500 trees and understory shrubs, the bulk of those being trees. They are important from an environmental standpoint and an important component of our climate action plan because they cool our buildings in the summer, they shield our buildings from the cold winds in the wintertime. They have ecosystem services from which we benefit each and every day.
In landscape services, we have roughly about between 75 and 80 people that maintain the landscape here on campus. We have over 600 acres of landscape area that we maintain. We have over 1 million square feet of flower beds and shrub beds that we maintain. Some of the things we do is make sure that the streets are swept, the sidewalks are clean, trash is picked up, flowers are planted, and we mow the lawn, and we keep the snow off the sidewalks and streets in the wintertime. One of the legacies that Duke passed on to me was professionalism and pride in what we do here. And right now, I'm in the process of trying to pass on what Duke passed on to me to the crews, to make this campus look as beautiful as it can. Whenever we have any kind of visit on campus, we take pride in making sure it looks good at all times.
The stewardship of the land, whether it's the landscapes that we see each and every day, whether it's the 400 forested acres that we have on campus, is all a part of the land grant mission and the land stewardship, which is our responsibility. Each and every plant on campus has the ability to communicate to us a sense of the wonder of nature. And we see that more often in very young children. We certainly see it still in college students, and sometimes we lose our way as adults and need to be reintroduced to the value of plants and the sheer joy that they can bring.
Duke used to talk about the tree having a spirit I've never talked to her, but when I do go around, I do mention Duke to the crew, man. Be careful about this tree. We can't do anything around this tree, touch the tree, unless we call Duke and decide what we're going to do, because he knows about the tree about more than anybody else.
It made me feel very good. My 34th year of my working here, I've been going 11 years, and my name still live on for this tree. So I told my wife at the end of my day on this earth, I got to put my H under the tree so I can go home and rest. The tree will take care of me.